Yes, it's Sunday night, it's Easter. Happy Easter, everyone, and it is time for another live stream. Now, tonight we're going to talk a bit about the Caddx situation this week, because it's been a bit of a weird week, to say the least, around that. And I put a video out a couple of days ago now. It might have been yesterday, I'm losing track. And things have developed even further from where they are there. But we also have some proper leaks, or at least images, of this new drone as well. I'm going to talk about the mess that Caddex have put themselves in, because they did this. No one else did this, so we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk a little bit about why am I mean to retailers and how dare I say bad things about retailers. What would I know about running a business? I don't understand. How are they meant to get the money? I don't care, but I'm going to explain about that a little bit as well. And we're going to talk about the H2D, because I've been printing on that thing for the last 48 plus hours, pretty much non-stop, and we will talk about anything else that comes up along the way as well, and we'll answer any questions you guys may have. Want to talk a little bit about the Runcam Open IPC stuff, and a few other things. I hope you are all well. Yes, I am wearing a t-shirt which was kindly donated by a follower of this channel who also has a store as well. For those of you who don't know, I don't know if anyone can guess. Can anyone guess who this is from? My cup of tea isn't here yet. I'm waiting for that to arrive. But if anyone knows, it is Fly High. Yes, it is a great t-shirt. It's actually going to be in the bamboo video because I really like this one. So we're going to be, yes, we're going to be talking about that one. It's been a weird week, and there's a lot I really, really wish I could say. There is a huge amount that I want to say, but I'm not, and I'm going to just move on. I am annoyed, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and I'm upset as well about some of the things that have gone down this week and some of the accusations that have been thrown around. However, we move on. You're not going to get quite as lively in me as you usually would just as a result of that. But look, I guess the first subject we need to get into is Caddex, because it's been a weird week, and it's been it's all over the place. And I'm not going to recount my whole video because there's no point doing that. But what a mess they have made of whatever this launch is. And I'll go to the desktop. And we've had posts from William at Caddex FPV. Now, I don't know William. I'm assuming it's a person. I'll be honest, the way some of the posts read, I'd say it's AI. But there's definitely an AI feeling to this. But look, if it is a person, I hope you're doing well. But this is the interesting stuff. This here is where things sort of went weird. If we get down, we decided to build a new system, and they talked about it without actually mentioning Avatar and what the situation is with it. And when you read this stuff, it very much reads as if we are moving on. We are doing something new. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to go through every post. There's a lot of guff in this. It's all word salad. That basically means nothing. In the early days of FPV drones, poor image quality and aging video technology often discouraged newcomers. No, it didn't. Let's be bloody clear here. The aging technology, which is analog FPV, was the absolute cornerstone of what brought people into FPV. It was simpler than anything digital, and in fact, it got more people into FPV than probably anything else. It didn't discourage, it just bloody worked. So there's a complete load of nonsense there, right? Which is just strange. But anyway, look, we'll get past that crap. They then go on to say their new system is not Open IPC, and the truth is we don't know, and there's lots of rumours, and I talked about that in the video. You've got the $1,000 they donated, and you've got all of the other stuff that was going on as well. And that sort of rang alarm bells, but they're saying it isn't. But there is something actually interesting when you read into this, which was rightly pointed out to me by someone who mentioned something that I didn't pick up on. And I need to figure out which one of these it's in, because he picked up on a comment. And if he's got this right, he is, as always, a legend and a very clever man. So, clevy? A very clever man. Propaganda, that's the right term for this, that's for sure. Thinking too much gets us nowhere. Rushing gets you into a right mess, as well, as you have also found out, Caddex, when your product stack doesn't quite line up and you release products that don't quite work with each other. Has anyone mentioned the GT VTX and the gimbal? Has anyone mentioned the fact that the head tracker and the gimbal didn't work on the Goggles X out the door? I actually would suggest you need to slow down and think a little bit more. However, I'll let you have your comment on that one. But yes, so they started by applying the new system to an entry-level kit. What I think they're doing is trying to twist it into, you know, it suits entry level. But anyway, we move forward. Anyway, in all of this, there was actually no comments about Avatar. So obviously I put out my video and they've now put out an update from all of the feedback, because I'm going to be honest with you, the feedback, well, there's no point me being honest with you, you can go and see it yourself. The feedback they've had on their posts, even before my video, has been horrific. It has been an absolute disaster when you read the comments from people, from users. And this is the interesting thing. These aren't comments from people like me who don't want to forget the things they promised us, because I have had comments saying, why don't you just give them a break? If a promise is made, we expect it to be kept. But these are from actual users who've bought the system, and it's been quite rough for them. But look, they have now clarified a few things. We have never given up the idea of the walk snail system. As for the Moonlight and GT, they remain our flagship core products. In fact, samples of the Moonlight 2 and GT2 have come out. So they are working on a Moonlight 2 and a GT2. That's what they've just admitted. I know nothing about it. Let's see if the GT2 actually has the connection for the gimbal on it. That would be good. About our new system, the current tentative name is Ascent, which reflects its meaning, serving both as a replacement for analog transmission and an evolution of it. Now, this is an incredibly interesting comment. Ascent, which reflects its meaning, serving both a replacement for analog and an evolution of it. Now, if we get into evolution, what is an evolution of analog? Well, there's only really two ways you can go. You've got analog HD, and you've got the technology that HD0 is built upon, which is joint source channel coding, which also, I will add, was the same technology that Connex Pro site used by Amion, but they behave a bit differently. but they were both joint source channel coding, as I understand it. But this would imply it might not be as far away from analog as we thought. There is actually nothing here to say it's going to be digital. We've all assumed it's digital, but there isn't actually anything to say it's going to be digital. Now, analog HD is an incredibly interesting prospect because it exists. Analog HD cameras are out there. There are loads of HD cameras. Every camera now is a digital camera that converts to analog in an analog system anyway. All you are doing in analog HD is cramming more data in the same amount of bandwidth, or you increase the bandwidth of the carrier with regards to the S-video output. So for instance, if you look at analog video on an oscilloscope, what you have is each line is drawn across in amplitude. So depending on where on the line, the amplitude of the line is how bright it is as it moves across in time. And then the amount of them, which is the frequency, determines how many lines there are vertically. So all you actually need to do is increase the frequency to get more lines in the same amount of bandwidth space as you would on PAL or NTSC. So there is a potential here that this could be something like analog HD. And could Caddex have made an analog HD transmission system? Because this is the bit that we've never had. Analog HD is out there, but it's very proprietary. It's been heavily used in CCTV. There is 1080p out there, but there isn't really an analog HD transmission system or a reception system. Nothing today is able to decode analog HD. We're still limited by NTSC and PAL. So that is incredibly interesting. And that wording of an evolution of it really does lay on something. And I am wondering if this is another form of joint source channel coding, the same sort of technology HD0 uses. Could this be something else? We don't know. We have also had a bit more information in the post as well. So, for instance, they say regarding performance, it will be a certain gap compared to Moonlight and GT. That says a lot in itself. That's what I call setting expectations. It will support entry-level drones and FPV beginners, which is fine. Get users the choice. Key advantage of Ascent is the price and low threshold. Would make sense for analog, especially analog HD. They also go on to say, HDMI in of VTX is okay, being prepared for mass production. So finally, the HDMI in VTX is coming. They did say it's digital. Where did they say it's digital, Rick? I might have missed this. And about USB, the GT2 will be equipped with USB-C. So, yeah, we have some answers. We absolutely have some answers on where things are. Oh, my cup of tea's arrived. Cute. Ooh, that's hot. We definitely have more answers than we had. Now, before we come back to some of the other stuff here, Caddex really only have themselves to blame for all of the noise we've had around this. When I put the video out, we were days past these posts. I waited nearly a week before putting the video out to see where this ended up. And as I expressed in the video, the fact that there wasn't any comments around Avatar was alarm bells for me. I'm pleased Caddex have confirmed Avatar seems to be remaining. Good news for existing adopters. They should be congratulated for that. What I would say is, next time, lead with that. and don't just leave it to an assumption, because we will fill the gaps. Let's wait and see. In May we'll launch the industry's first entry-level digital. Good spot, Rick. You got it. It's the devil's in the detail, isn't it? Well done, mate. Yeah, no. So they say it's digital. So that would then lean on some form of joint source channel coding, maybe, or something else. Strange. Very strange. So, look, that's where we're at. We also, though, do have pictures. These were posted on my Discord. We've now got what we believe is pictures of the drone itself. This is, without doubt, looking like they're trying to go after the DJI Neo style of drone. So, plastic molded shell, plastic top. Design actually looks decent. Can't complain at all. Arm thickness with strengthening bars. It would be nice if there was like a carbon plate or at least a composite plate in there as well, just to offer some additional rigidity. But this all looks fairly good from this side of things. You've got your camera up front. So you can see a camera hidden in there. It looks like a traditional FPV camera. We've got our motors. We've got our props. It's a pusher, obviously. Looks a fairly well designed and put together. You then got the back. So, the first thing is, it's clearly running a proprietary battery. 5 pins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. USB-C port on the back and a little button light LED thing. Definitely looks like a proprietary battery. Plastics, again, look fairly good. Nice and solid. Looks quite integrated. The way you look at the, you know, again, it definitely looks more like a consumer product. It definitely does. We then got a picture from the top. Is that a hole or is that an LED of some form? I can't actually tell. Again, looks fairly well crafted. If I'm honest, you know, if I saw that from DJI, I wouldn't be shocked. Some used props on there. Yeah, it looks like it's been scuffed up a little bit. And then we've got a picture from underneath. And this definitely shows us a bit more information. There is a visual positioning system. This looks like a TOF sensor or infrared time of flight sensor. You've got a little camera on the back, lightly for visual positioning, basically mouse pointer design. You've then got a little metal box on the inside underneath. And obviously some screws. So yeah, look. Oh, arms actually, right. Now, I hadn't noticed this earlier. So arms are very hollow with just one support. That worries me a little. That does worry me a little. That's a good point. I wonder if it's running beta flight. Obviously not for your FPV freestyler, but, you know, look, a lot of people bought the Neo. And if it's a better FPV drone than the Neo, perhaps there's a market for it. For kids and things like that. You know, a proper flying but a proper capable FPV quad could be interesting. You can see it looks like antenna going through there, up into that duct. So yeah, look, I think it looks okay. I don't like this proprietary battery crap, but that's the reality of things. I do wonder how strong these are going to be, but if they sell all of the top shell and the parts, then, you know, who knows? Can it run Doom? That's an interesting question. Looks like OG Nintendo. Yeah, the colours are... Looks to be 4S. So we know a bit more. We know a bit more. We now have an understanding around what Caddex have told us. I guess panic over Avatar isn't going anywhere. However, my faith in Caddex delivering development on 2 products is low. A message I'd have for Caddex is there are things that have been promised that haven't been delivered. Ignore V2, right? Just ignore that a minute. The app still doesn't work properly. Focus mode doesn't work properly. I'd like to see some more development on the system. And that's what we would like to see. But it's good that they're not abandoning Avatar, or at least they're telling us they're not abandoning Avatar. And that's all we can do. We can only go by what they've said. So, yeah, interesting times. Something I will say, it would be incredibly interesting for someone else to do something different. You know, Carl is the one that stood out and did things very differently in FPV. You know, Avatar and DJI are distant cousins of technology. They are based off the very same... Sorry, it's been a long day. They are based off the very same core technology. It's not identical, but it's in essence the same thing. Whereas HD0 is completely different. And it would be interesting if this was something different as well. But it is good that Caddex are not abandoning people. We do have that image of the VTX, which I showed in the video. Analog would somewhat make sense on that as well. So all we can do is wait and see. Price is going to be interesting. It's going to be May. I'll order one in when it arrives. I'm not expected to be sent one, but I will order one in when it arrives. Well, whilst we're talking, that's about pretty much where we're at with Caddex. That's all there is to say. Everything pretty straightforward. We obviously also have this other digital system that seems to be appearing now. You're getting more and more videos of this OMP hobby. I am meant to be getting one. They did say they were going to send me one. I went to order it, and then I actually got a message saying they were going to send one. They've clearly sent one to Painless. Painless has got one. Lee's got it.
All right, so
And,
checking out
Thing's got one as well. What I'm about to say is no slight on any of these 2 creators. They are amazing. They are great people. But fucking hell, guys, could you not have powered it up and showed us it? I found both videos very frustrating. Very frustrating. It's like, can you turn it on? Fire it up. Can you show it to us? I want to see it working. Guys, come on. I saw all of this on the Chinese videos. I don't need this. And I'm going to go into the same trap, but I'm going to turn it on. But look, what I will tell you is I'd already been doing searches on this number last week, and there is no FCC info on this whatsoever yet. Big C and FCC logos, bigger logos than are on the Caddx Vista, which is interesting. But yeah, I was cursing both Lee and this video because I'm sitting there going, turn it on, power it up, teases. But both of them did a good overview of the hardware out the door. Playing the creator game. I know why they do this, you see. See, to do all your testing is going to take time. But people don't want to miss getting their videos out as soon as they can. So what you get is like this kind of content. You get this, okay, here's a quick video to get it out there. And it also gets the vendors off your back as well, because they're not harassing you saying, when's the video coming, when's the video coming, when's the video coming? Because honestly, you would not believe how bad some vendors are. They are on at you continuously. So I understand why Lee, Make a Bit, and the others do this, because what it does is it gets them ranked very early in the YouTube space. They will have a video out there earlier than most, because it's out there and it gets them ranked, but it also gets the vendors off their back as well. And that way they're then left in peace to make further content. But yeah, look, there's nothing we hadn't really learned here. In the Chinese videos, we saw pretty much all of this. Definitely interesting. If I don't get one turn up in the next 5 days, I'll just place an order. Yeah, it's not for FPV freestyle. No, 100% agreed, Nick. I mean, I'm more intrigued about the technology. What are they actually using? This is where it gets interesting. What are they using? And look, Lee's channel is perfect for this. Lee's a fixed wing guy more than a quad guy. Lee is the perfect thing. Make a Bit got no working cables, if I remember. I'd have found a way. But Lee gives a good overview of it. The antennas are massive. But yeah, look, they both give a very similar view of it. And yeah. Apollothos says, I sincerely hope that later I'll be able to replace my Goggles X board with an internal Open IPC board. I find that there is probably no chance in the next million years of that happening. No. But yeah, look, Lee gives a good overview, so yeah, worth checking out if you want to see what it looks like. I was like, I know what it looks like. I've watched all the Chinese videos. I want to see it turned on in someone's hands who I trust. Lee, come on, mate. Get it going. I don't think it'll get much better or cheaper than DJI O4 with the N3. No, I think DJI have really pushed their boat out on this. Jan Peter Simerson says, has Open IPC the chance to overtake what we have now, like ELRS did for Control Link? My personal opinion is no. And so that's me already in the bad books with the Open IPC devs. Let me quantify this conversation. I firmly, fundamentally don't believe Wi-Fi based systems will ever get to the same level as what we have. The level of access that DJI have allows them complete custom control. It's an SDR. They completely create the waveform, they control it, they have everything. That isn't to say there isn't a place for Open IPC. That isn't to say it couldn't be a low-cost alternative. But it's complicated. There is a real difficult price point you head to. And we're already getting there with this. So, look, with this, we are at with this VRX, we're at $99 for the VRX. Great hardware. You're talking another $60, $70. $60, $70 of VTX. But the savings aren't great, especially when you add in your time. Your time is worth money as well. DJI, you buy, you plug it in, it works, you go flying. Avatar, you buy, you plug it in, it works, you go flying. It will not catch up. That's not to say it doesn't have a place, but it is so far away. I don't care what anyone says, right? You ask anyone who has picked this up, who is not part of the dev team, who has tried it, who is thinking it, I've got it flying. It ain't near good enough as a replacement for any of the current systems. It's a system that works, but it ain't there. So, and do I think it has the potential? Not in its current form. Wireless video is close to being the most difficult thing in wireless there is today. DJI are one of the biggest wireless video providers on the planet. They sell millions of consumer drones every year that all use the same technology. They are leagues ahead of anyone else. It's not even funny how far ahead they are. They are creating their own ICs from scratch. That is the depth of DJI's thing. Someone just said, since Rossman's video, I'll stay away from DJI. What, Rossman showing you he's trying to activate a DJI camera, yet he already had two that he'd previously activated and was pretending to be surprised? Bit of a strange video, that one. Look, do you have to activate a DJI product? Yes. Do you have to have your phone attached to it forever? No. Is it an issue? Not for 99% of people out there. You can register an account with joe.blogs@gmail.com. You can activate your product and never use that app or use that program, that email again. I'm sorry, getting bent out of shape over that is silly. What I thought was weird in Rossman's video, and like, Lewis Rossman's amazing. I had the privilege of talking to Lewis Rossman once, and in a message he messaged me. I did have the privilege. I used to upload a lot of the drone stuff to FPV Wiki. I stopped doing that and moved to my own wiki. It was nothing to do with Lewis Rossman why I stopped on FPV Wiki. They basically had to move FPV Wiki to a new place, and everything had to be picked up and manually moved. And I found it was being... the way it was done was too restrictive. It was too difficult. I wasn't getting help. So in the end, I just got pissed off and created my own wiki because I could then control it. And it wasn't about advertising. I don't advertise on my wiki. You know, if you go to FPV Wiki, I pay for this through the support of this channel. There is no advertising on here. There are names of vendors who have supported my channel. They've not paid me for this. I chose to put this up here. They didn't even ask me to because these companies have supported my channel. They've, in essence, allowed me to be able to pay for this and build this. But there is no advertising on this. There is no Google ads. This is not about money. The reason I didn't move back to their wiki was if I'm going to do it again, I'm going to do it somewhere that I'm in control rather than do it somewhere else. And that was how I thought. But look, Lewis reached out to me and very kindly asked for my opinion on why I wasn't willing to do it. I did find his video a bit odd that it was a complaint about, oh, DJI's forcing you to activate. Yeah, if you looked, he'd clearly pre-activated 2 previous Osmo Action cameras. It's a bit disingenuous kicking off about something when you've already done it before. That just feels like making noise for the sake of it. You know, look, if you know how it works. If you've done it twice, you know how it works. Every DJI camera has always had to be activated. So, you know. But Lewis Rossman is an incredible asset to Right Repair, incredible asset to the community, and we wouldn't have some of the progress we've had without him, and he is an absolute legend. I didn't like how he treated Linus. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that was uncalled for. I think sometimes he hasn't always come across as genuine as I think he could have, and it spoils some of the great work he's done. However, he is still a massive legend. You do not have to activate everything. No. Just reading down the chats. Amijo is talking about the durability of the DJI 04 Lite. I have warned everyone, it's not very durable. Why do I have to accept something I already own? Then don't buy it. It's that simple. There are many complex reasons why activation is used. It's about warranty coverage. It's about marketing. It's about firmware updates. You know, you might not have to like it, but there's very few products you can use today without activating. I'll be honest. I think way too much is overblown. What, for me, the key is today is I don't care about activation. What I care about is, do I have to be tied into it permanently? And if I don't, I'm fine. Reading up. I've still got the right link on the news. Have I still got the right link on the news? I need to check, Gary. The only reason ExpressOS could overtake all the other control links because they had completely stagnated, and LoRa as a standard had innovated past in the meantime. 100%. And look, remember, ExpressLRS was playing in... RC control links is quite a not simple, but it's a walled garden of... It's not particularly hard. It's hard to do, but the theory around it is fairly straightforward. Trump has placed tariffs of 420% on Mads Tech. He has, John. I'm too expensive for everyone now. You do not have to activate everything from DJI. Pretty much everything you have to activate. I can't... What product of DJI's don't you have to activate? I can't think of one. Not even on their pro side, because everything on their pro side needs activating now. Have I got my TBS Mojito yet? No, and probably won't be. I think I'm going to steer as far away from that based on... There are elements I sincerely am disappointed in this, and I'm just going to stay as far away from the product and the company as I can. Oh, that's a point, UAV Futures. Do you know, dude, that's a point. It's because you took a break. That's what happens when you take a break and you weren't making content. Do me a favour, ping me and someone remind me if I haven't done it. I'll go in and do it, Stu, after the stream. It will be done today after the stream, Stu, because I built this a while ago. Did I get any time to fly Ruby yet? Not yet. The weather was terrible last week in the UK. For anyone who was in the UK last week, it was rain. It's been okay the last couple of days, but I couldn't fly. I got family stuff, and I'm trying to get the video done on that. I will be... Ruby's all flashed. It's all done. It's ready to go. I just need to get out there and do it. I might even get time tomorrow. DJI Power products. Ah, there we go. The power stations. No, the O4 heatsink hasn't arrived. Some of the stuff from China did. The 21700 battery protection covers did. This is the only thing that's arrived yet. The rest of it is en route. I'm waiting for it to come. It'll be here this week. AliExpress did ship very, very quickly. Oh, also, my roll of fiberglass tape came, which I got completely the wrong size. But no, Osmo 6 DJ Power Products, yes, I did know about them. Happy Easter, Gar. My prostate is gone. Right, okay, not sure where that's going. When will DJI get the 65mm segment? Anything else will be pointless. I have green grass on my DJI O4 Lite Integra goggles. How have you got the grass in your goggles? I do not see a world where DJI makes a whole AAO running Betaflight. Agreed. Won't happen. Is the DIY license for Cosmos Streamer free? No. You always have to pay. The DIY is you simply bring your own hardware. So Cosmos Streamer DIY is bring your own hardware. You don't buy their hardware, which is a Raspberry Pi. It is a paid product. Independently developed. This is what's left of my Easter egg today. DJI wise, before we move on to the next subject, things are very quiet. No updates, which is a bit of a shame. I have a horrible feeling that we're not going to see a resolution on the issues around the ham file, Goggles 2 and Integra. Unfortunately, Josh Fisk also says the right-hand cables aren't great. We can get another ones. Maybe we might see something because of a lot of product releases are getting pulled back. As someone said there, pretty much anything that was set to release has now been withdrawn. Other than Caddex are pushing ahead by the look of it with their drone. But anyone who was trying to push anything out, it seems like have pulled back. That's where it seems like today. I am not aware of hardly any products, but not a lot of companies won't talk to me now. DJI removed all of their enterprise drones from the US website. Yeah. I wonder how much US stock DJI has. Yeah, they bunker warehouse. I can't imagine it being that much. I was talking about this on Gary's. DJI will be fine. The one thing about the tariffs is, whilst we're going there then, before I talk about retailers, DJI will absolutely be fine. And this is why DJI will be fine. You could 10 times the cost of every DJI product and it is still cheaper and better or better for roughly the same money than anything else. Doesn't matter what you do to DJI cost-wise, no one comes close. When you're talking about the consumer drones, when you're talking about the enterprise drones, no one is even in the same league as them. So you can double the cost, triple the cost, quadruple the cost. It doesn't matter. If you need that capability, then you're going to buy that product. You don't have a choice. You just don't. Especially in the enterprise segment. Because you go to anything, You go to anything that is enterprise-wise, no one is getting near them. You know, if you start looking at the Matrice 4, the technology in this quad, you know, no one's got anything like it. They're not at a different level, they're at a different game. So, really, what will happen with DJI is, if you want this at that size point, you'll just have to pay what you pay. But Autel are banned, but they're still not close. Anyone who buys an Autel will know they're not close. Autel are banned already. What are the US-based alternatives? It's the Blue UAS program, which you're talking Teal, you're talking, and don't get me wrong, Red Cat must be laughing their ass to the bank right now. But you are still talking incredibly more money compared to what DJI was charging. And, you know, Teal will benefit. Teal are making all sorts of stuff. But it still ain't this stuff. It still ain't the same tech. So, DJI will be fine. DJI really don't have a problem. The price goes up, but if you need the product, you need the product. Where this all, and this leads into tariffs, and obviously we're at fucking, I don't know what percentage we're at now. Skydio. But Skydio have somewhat stagnated, although you do have the X10, I think. And, you know, everything's gone through the roof. Everything has got very expensive. I think it's off the DJI store, everything was removed. I think you can get any of the enterprise stuff. Like I can, if we look at in the UK, I can now order the enterprise stuff. I don't think you can in the US. What's the resolution of the thermal on this? What's the spec on the thermal? Specs. Where's the thermal? Laser module, thermal camera. 640 by 512. Jesus Christ. So, we have a drone here, the thermal version, $6.5 grand. You're not getting near that. No one's getting near that. But look, so, tariffs and FPV. Now, obviously, I caused a bit of a stir last week, apparently saying that these dealers are ripping people off. These dealers are evil. These dealers are doing... I was very clear. I said that price increase was bullshit, and I fundamentally believe it. I do not subscribe to the fact that retailers need to put up their prices in advance to cover the cost of replacing the stock. That is not the consumer's problem. Now, I will be clear. They can do what they want. A retailer is a business. They can do what they want. But it is not... We don't have to like it. I don't care about the retailer. They're not my problem. And I had loads of people saying, you have no idea how to run a business. Well, actually, I do. I did it for over 10 years. And I'm talking from a position of, I've ran businesses, I've ran a lot of stuff. I completely understand how it works. It doesn't mean I agree it's the consumer's problem. I'm not saying they can't do it. They're entitled to do what they want. But it doesn't mean people have to like it or accept it. And I do not believe right now putting that price up that fast was the right thing to do. Bearing in mind how much this has all moved around. How many times have these tariffs been changed? Up, down, left, right. If they'd have done it 2 or 3 days before, I'd have probably risen an eyebrow and moved on. But this was done instantly at the point. And look, they can do what they want. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to tell you, my opinion is that behaviour, I think, was bullshit. And I don't think that is the kind of behaviour of a retailer I would personally support. And that's my comments. And I'm not here to look after the retailer. I don't care about who I upset in that side of things. I say how I feel. I last week showed a company that I said I would never show on this channel before. Why did I do that? Because they have a product that actually now is relevant. That was Rotor Riot. You all know my thoughts on that, based on everything, based on their behaviour. Yet, my job is also to inform, and part of that informing is about making sure you know your options. My understanding, and let me just find this post, because I'm going to read this out as well. My understanding is that TBS are also moving or have some production going into the US. I need to find Trappy's post. Trappy put a post up about it. Or he didn't. Someone asked him a question, actually. Let me just find it. Trappy replied to someone. And it, I'm trying to find it. Let me find posts. Here we go. So, what he wrote was this. We did on the lounge on Sunday. He talked about it on the lounge. I haven't watched that lounge. I usually watch them. I haven't done it yet. My understanding is TBS have some stock going into the US, and they are also offering manufacturing capability to people as well. I would suggest that you go watch that if you want to know more. Again, with how I feel on that right now, I wouldn't usually say that, but it's the right thing to do with regards to going able to buy that. So, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say don't shop at Rotor Riot, because if they sell an American-made flight controller that suits your needs, go buy it. If TBS, because they've got great pricing on the Lucid. The Lucid is a nice bit of kit. They've got good pricing on the Lucid, so do go check it out. I thought I saw a post from him saying something. I don't know where I've seen it. I don't know where it is. I saw a post from him saying that they're going to be offering manufacturing capability as well. But I don't know. They have opened up their US factory. Yeah. I thought he'd put something out. Yeah, I can't find it. He's definitely... There was a live stream. Yeah, it was on the live stream. So, look, go check it out. It's this one here. He talks about it here. So this was on 11 days ago. So, please go check it out. He talks about it. I also think they're offering manufacturing. He said that was using existing manufacturing. Didn't mention who. It seems like Vast. Yeah, I don't know. But look, they have some options. They're making stuff available. Rotor Riot, TBS, they're options. Go check them out. That's all we can do. As for my comments against the retailer, there are a bunch of people who got upset about it. I don't really care. It's not my problem. I owe those retailers nothing. I'm not saying things to put you out of business. Your actions are what determines how people will purchase from you. If you do something like that, it was rather unsavory. It was rather early. And I think you made yourself look like you were scalping. You were taking advantage of the situation. I am not suggesting in any of this there is a great outcome, because there isn't. And I completely get you might be screwed if you don't do this. But that doesn't mean it's right, it looks good, I'm going to sit here and support it, or I'm not going to highlight it and say what I said, which is this bullshit. I don't care about the retailer. Look, we've all... I'm sorry, I can't worry about everyone. Like, my job is the consumer side. I can't be everyone's friend. I can't say nice things about everyone. I can, and I may as well just wrap this up and go away. Because that's how I feel right now. So it's if you're only going to say nice things and not upset people and then not get accused things, then you may as well just make cheap crap content and you may as well do what everyone accuses you of. And I remember Linus saying this. Because Linus gets accused of so much, and actually at times Linus has said a few times that he wishes he just did rip everyone off, take all of the money, do all of these things, because people think he does it anyway. It's the same as, like, people think you get paid for manufacturers. People think you get, look, I am incredibly lucky. I do receive a lot of stuff now for free. I get a lot of support from patrons, and I get some manufacturers who support us. I never forget that, right? I don't. But it doesn't change me or bias. And I still have to pay probably 80-90% of stuff. But you can't win, is what you learn. You can't win, and that's the bit you learn. Fly High kept his prices. He did. As for what I think is going to happen with FPV, I don't know. I still think all of this is going to go away. I actually really do think all of this is going to go away. I'm still not sure. It could get a bit worse, but I think it'll go away. Or it won't. I tell you what I should do. I absolutely should. I tell you what. See, if you wanted to milk this, and I don't mean milk this, that's not the right term. 10% tariffs from the UK. So, am I right in thinking that I can buy everything in from China and sell it to you guys, and it'll only be a 10% tariff on it, and I can make a nice margin and make loads of money and buy myself a Ferrari and become a baller FPV magnate, and then be like everyone else who's skimming off the top of it? And and sell it. Oh, it's country of origin. Bollocks. But I could make a flight controller and sell it to you at 10% tariff. Lying about what? D now? I don't know what you mean. I'm not talking about JB. Look, guys, let me be clear. I'm not talking about JB. I did see JB had his talk. I'm actually not talking about JB. JB was not the problem. JB absolutely had his opinion on mine. I love JB. I talked to JB. I spoke to JB this week. Nothing. My comments are zero to do with JB. It's the comments back from the users I'm more interested in, and a few other people. Nothing to do with JB. Nothing to do with JB at all. Please don't construe anything I've said with regards to JB. It's not. JB's not even in my mind when I'm talking about this stuff. How to be cinematic. It'll be soon. It'll be cheap enough soon to get it made by JLC PCB. We should get sponsored by JLC PCB so you can get your boards and then have it. But JB in my heart. JB's always in my heart. Always in my heart. JLC PCB. The Mads Tech flight controller. I was going to say something then, but I better not. Got myself into enough trouble this week. Trying to think of the right wording. No, I can't. I've got something in my head, but yeah. Yes. So, look, tariffs, it's shit. It's getting worse. AliExpress are really AliExpress are really shipping fast. Really shipping fast. It's surprising, although it's still taking forever to get you. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, will FPV survive? There's all sorts of rumours. It doesn't help the Ukraine thing is continuing as well. So, and here's the next problem. How big is the FPV market in the US? Really, someone did say I'm completely wrong about the size of the US FPV market. A very good point is Ukraine is probably the biggest market now. And that is getting... that's going to help push things through very fast indeed. That's pretty much it on that. I just want to say thank you. $10 super chat from 73FPV. You're incredible. Thank you for that, my friend. I really do appreciate it. Very quickly on the run cam stuff. As I said, I'm all flashed with Ruby. I'm ready to go try it. I just need to get a chance. I've been tied up with the H2D. My last 2 days have just been testing on the H2D. Loads and loads of prints. I always start my testing on a 3D printer with basic stuff. I always start with like kid stuff because I like doing kid stuff first of all. My kids like doing kid stuff. So I always start with like the kids stuff. This was a 4-color print actually, sorry, with the AMS. I also did this one, which come out, I love this. This come out incredibly well. It's like a knitted effect on the outside. This is done in PLA Sparkle. And that is one of my favorite things I've printed. He's going to live on my desk from now on. That's really cool. I've then started doing like the testing on the FPV stuff. So I've done TPU testing. Needs a little bit of tuning. The TPU isn't quite there yet. I had some issues. But this is a test print I always do. Pretty clean. few bobbles here and there, and this isn't actually dried. This is wet. So it's come out pretty clean, not perfect. And then tonight I've done like a first engineering multi-print test. This is a very simple thing that we couldn't do before, but this is multi-material. It's toothless. So this is PLA and TPU hinge. Fully integrated, printed in one. And it's a nice print to demonstrate what you can do with the multi-material option. Only obviously you can do two. You know, you could print this in two separate bits and glue it together if you wanted to. But what this does demonstrate is a nice integration of flexibles and rigids. I'm going to be doing more now, but I just wanted to do a very basic test, which is this, you know, and it really, it's a fully functional, flexible part. So it's good to see. And then you can go for multicolours from there. But yeah, and it's such a simple thing, but it really demonstrates what you can do. Yeah, I saw Bondtech are going to do a tool head changer. Yeah, I spoke about the tariff talk just now, Fly High, and you haven't put your prices up, slacker. Yeah, and look, this was like, I want something basic to try, and then we take it to the next level. And that's it about. There are some quirks with the H2D app, you know, it's not quirks. Quirks isn't the right term to use. It is a phenomenal printer. Just look how big it is next to the X1. Can you see how big that is there? It's... How much waste was there with the hinge? I'll show you the waste. There's no purging at all. What did I do? Let me just find it. I think I put it in the bin. One minute. No, it's not there. I thought I kept it. What have I done with it? There should be a very small tower. There wasn't much. There's no purging out the back. I can show you on a video is what I can do, because I have a video or a time lapse of the print. And I can show you on the build plate. There. Is the H2D folder gone? There it is. Ah, wrong machine. They're on this. Wrong box. Unplug that. Make sure that is plugged in. I'm just trying to get my USB to plug in. That doesn't want to work. Ah, that's worked. Okay. So it should be this one I'm about to show you. Nope, not that one. 2 seconds. I need to just find the right video. I'm looking on the files just to... See this one? Nope. Not that one. Too many files, unfortunately, on the drive. Time lapse. Let's use the time lapse one then. Here we go. Found it. It's going that fast, right? I can't pause it. Right. Got it. Sorry. Desktop. Right. Playback. I want to change the speed to slow. Playback. Speed slower. I want to really slow this down. Okay. So this is a time lapse. So I'm going to pause it right at the end. So that little area there, it's hard to show you, but that little area there is the only wastage. That's it. There's no, it doesn't purge back to the back. It's not pooping. It's literally doing a very small purge tower at the back there. Really minimal, very little wastage. But yeah, pretty much as straightforward as that. That was a piece I printed overnight. This was an overhead filament bracket, which I printed with supports. Pretty clean. That was the... I didn't realise I had it doing the stopping on that one. I didn't really, because you can choose whether you want it to move the head. So if you look at that one, it's moving the head to do the time lapse, which can affect print quality. Unlike the second one, which you see the actual print head, it just carries on. It doesn't bother. This is a very basic bracket. And what was the first one? Ah, there you go. There is that toothless look. So yeah, very cool. Very, very cool indeed. The only real downside is you can't print 2 colors TPU as standard. Why do a large tower when it can purge? It saves time doing it. The tower is still there to wipe the nozzle, and it's faster than purging. There is a mix. Bamboo tend to overdo it on purging and tower. You can dial this stuff back, but it's done to give the best possible quality. Catching down on the chat. Can you show your microscope mount? My mount's a bit complicated because the one I've got here is a monopod. I have a monopod that I've cut the bottom off, drilled a hole through, and screwed it to the ceiling, to a beam in the ceiling. And it hinges down. So this one, let me show you this. This one does this. Whee! Permanently connected. There's a box then there, which I go light. And then there's a button, which I press there, which gives you the microscope. I then have an adjustment on the monopod, which allows it to go up and down. And then, when I don't need it, it swings back away and hooks up on a nail. That isn't the main one I use. That one now is mostly used for making content. I don't work under that microscope because it comes into OBS. So that's that one. Zip tie engineering. Oh, there's all cable ties everywhere. You can't beat a cable tie. You can't. Radio and a servo. Yeah, and just have it go zzz. Yeah. When you're going to paint that OBS, I have no interest in painting this room. Because the day I paint it means the day I have to paint it for the rest of my life. The OBS, OSB, not OBS. The OSB is unmanaged, requires no management, requires no cleaning, no nothing. I do want to change the posters. I think it's about time we change the posters. I need to have a look. But it's something I don't have to manage. Just filled with posters. Yes, that's what I had done. I actually should try and get like a big printed thing to go on the back. AliExpress is delivering stuff in under 5 days to Germany. My stuff shipped really quick. The interesting thing is, the stuff I originally ordered is taking a bit longer, but the second batch of stuff is coming really, really quick. Logo poster. Poster wall. Yeah, I should try and get like a big printed thing to go on it. Talking about batteries whilst I'm remembering. Obviously, a lot of people saw the first video on the welder. I'm waiting for the rest of the stuff to come before I can do the batteries. I can't do anything until the rest of the stuff comes. Someone, though, has reached out to me and suggested about this welder from Sequoia as being worth a look. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't see this one before I ordered the K-Weld. I have sent Sequoia a message saying, hey, is this available? But they've not replied to me. Probably won't, based on the fact I ripped them a new arsehole over stealing BL Heli 32. But apparently this is a very good bit of kit. One of the more powerful welders on the market as well. Gitter 810 801H is another one that was recommended. The Gitter 801H is definitely another one, but apparently this is better than the Gitter. The Sequoia is better than the Gitter, apparently. There's a person who's got both, and he highly recommends the Sequoia. Specs, yeah, the problem is the specs on these things are largely nonsense at times as well. So this obviously is 2,500 max. The Sequoia, sorry, the Gitter is 3,500. But does it really deliver that 3,500? Definitely interesting. I guess after the 22nd due to tariffs, I am tempted to order the 801H. Oh, is that available in the UK? Ooh, look at the pricing on that in the UK. 239.99. Ouch. Okay. Ouch, ouch, ouch. $209 to $249 on the glitter website. Comes with handles. How can I see if it delivers 2,500? It's hard to know. It's really hard to know how you're going to prove. You're going to have to just test which one is going to deliver the most power. That's the problem. What's it on Amazon? Unavailable on Amazon. Is it available on Amazon at all? No. Yeah, you'd have to measure between, as someone says. You'd have to try and measure what it's pulling between the caps. I don't know how interested it's worth having a look at this. The Gitter is definitely interesting. Pricing wise, there's a lot of variance on the pricing of this in AliExpress as well, and it worries me. Happy Easter. Yes, I did check my eggs today. I've eaten most of them. There is quite a lot of varying in price, which does worry me when you're looking at the welders. It was 150 quid just now, and now this one is 200. Comparing 3 welders. Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot of opinions on nickel copper sandwich, thickness of nickel, width of nickel. Should you use nickel? Should you use copper? My God, is there some opinions on that? You have people who are building packs every day that just use nickel and just get on with it and don't have an issue. And there are people that spend a lot of time trying to do nickel copper sandwich. Nickel copper sandwich is obviously harder to do. Because you're having to weld through the copper to the nickel on the battery. You're in essence burning a hole through the copper to weld it because you're not welding the copper to the battery. You're in essence burning a hole through the copper to get to the battery. I'm intrigued of, does the copper melt or does it just burn a hole? You are welding the copper to the battery, just the nickel makes the heat. Yeah. I'm intrigued. It should be melting. Yeah, that's my thoughts. It should. Are you burning a hole or are you melting it through? There seems to be a lot of opinions around it. It would be an incredibly interesting thing to test. Not even on a... You'd have to do it on a battery, but you could actually do this on a lead-acid battery and try to pull like 100 amp and see what you're getting. It is interesting. You know, copper has substantially less resistance than nickel. But does it... In the end, there are people who've said it makes a difference. There are people who said it doesn't. A good time to use the thermal camera, for sure. Absolutely for sure. It would be very interesting. But the question is heat a problem? Because if you have a pack that's flying through the air, is heat really a problem? See, if your pack is in good airflow, then any additional heat created isn't an issue as long as it's manageable. I can absolutely see it being an issue in a static environment. And in a static environment, when you build a battery, you generally wouldn't be using one strip. Your batteries would be multi-stripped usually as well. So your actual current paths are going in multiple directions. With heat comes waste. Yes, it is energy. But how much energy? How much are you losing? That, we are not expecting... Sorry, I got a really itchy nose tonight. It's all of that white powder. You're not going to be losing... these cells are 5 or 10,000 milliamp hour. How much are we actually anticipating we're losing? See, the additional resistance does affect how much you can get from the battery, because it's less about the waste heat, it's more about Ohm's law. But whales be full of that meow meow. So I don't know. Does it matter? Do you want to build a snowman? Does it matter in real world? And that is the interesting thing. Damn, I wish I worked for a battery manufacturer. Yeah, it is. It's incredible. So, look, I need to order in some copper strip now because I haven't got any copper. And it almost gets to the stage of, is it just worth doing copper nickel sandwich or a nickel cap to weld to? Because do you even need the nickel strip at this point, or would you be better just welding the copper to the nickel battery with like a circle of nickel or a square of nickel on the top and just use the copper as the current path? It gets very complicated. It gets very, there's a lot of opinions in this, and it's hard to know for sure with just a tiny piece of nickel. Yeah, so you would just have like a square of nickel on top of the copper on top of the battery, and you just go boom boom. Yeah, I am shattered. I started very early today. You can measure it. Look, you're going to have to measure the resistance will shift under load, because as it heats up, it will increase in resistance. This is where the issue will be. There is nickel versus copper resistance. So nickel versus copper or conductivity. And there is actually a good calculator somewhere. Does anyone know the link to the calculator? Just cut the size of the copper at the same time you cut the nickel together. Less work. You just need to set your K-weld to around 80 joules. There is a good calculator for this. Here we go. This is the best calculator. So, if we go with a 6S 1P, does anyone know the weight? It doesn't matter the weight. Do we know, do P50Bs 18, 21, that won't be 18.5 because that's 18,650, so that'll be 21.5. Do we know the internal resistance of a 21,700 cell? So, strip thickness 0.15, 8 mil. Average current, we're going to say, yeah, 30 amp is okay. 71 gram, P50B, 71 gram and 13 ohm. So 13 ohm. And 71 gram. There we go. Okay. So. Does this let us choose the strip type? Is this based on nickel or copper? Web. Oh, bugger. I closed the... There we go. Open the constants tab. Ah, there we go. So, here we are. So, specific resistance. Heat capacity. So, we've got the individuals for... So we've got the supported strip types here. Look, you can see the different kinds of strip. We just then need the information for nickel versus copper. And then that allows you to put together the information. It's a shame it doesn't have a drop down for copper and nickel. That would be good. But it's interesting. You can start to look at the effect. They have no air cooling. Yeah, and that's for me, that's the real key. Is air cooling is a big factor because you get the airflow over the battery, which keeps the heat down on the interlinks, which then allows, you know. Resistance is the key here. But look, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I need to get some copper. I'm going to be probably... I don't know what thickness copper I'm going to get. It seems to be most people go with 0.15 copper, 0.2 nickel, or you go 0.15 copper and 0.15 nickel. That seems to be what people go with. It depends. It seems to vary. It seems to vary. I've got me nickel already. My nickel is here, but I don't have copper. I have copper foil tape. I did wonder. I've got proper copper foil tape. I was wondering if it would work by wrapping the nickel strip in the copper foil tape and then welding that. I'll be trying 0.2 copper and 0.15 nickel. Makes sense. Or nickel plated copper. Nickel plated copper is definitely that almost sounds ideal. It's just whether the weld will hold. That's the hard part on nickel plated copper. So that's it. that's the news this week. There's really very little more to talk about. We're going to have to wait and see. DJI aren't answering anyone's questions. They're not responding. It's all a bit shit. Tariffs are crap. We'll get through it. That's it. That's really all there is. Now, before I move on, I just want to say one last thing. I want to say a huge thank you to all of my Patreons. I would not be still here doing this today without your support. A massive thank you from me to everyone who donates as well. FPV Vision Official gave a $20 super chat. I missed that earlier. Sorry, FPV Vision Official. That's incredible. Thank you for that. Just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who keeps the channel moving forward. We would not be able to do this without your support. Genuinely, I'd have given up a long time ago. That's it from me. We will be back again. Probably same time, same place next Sunday. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and I will speak to you soon. And now I got to find the button. I didn't prep myself to finish the stream.